and welcome to episode 130 of the Strength Hammer podcast. With me, your host, Chuck Moore, with Fit Hammer, and special guest today, because we felt like it, Ronnie Coleman,
Oh,
squatting
yes.
800
Yes.
solid
Thank you.
S pounds.
Wow, Ronnie, so nice of you to join us. That's what an honor.
Yeah, it's so nice of him. Nice of him to join us for this landmark episode of 130, which will be a pretty typical episode if we're honest with
Yeah,
ourselves.
it's nothing special. Honestly, you could leave now and you would not miss a thing.
Cool. All right, I'll see you later. You got this, Alex?
No, it's going to be a great one. It's
Yeah.
going to be a great one, as
Okay.
always.
Yeah, as usual. Usual Warhammer and fitness journey through this podcast. I'm very sleepy, so sorry, everybody, as we're recording this. Had game night last night, which you'll see some pictures from because Alex took a few. But before we do that, Alex, how is your lawn doing?
It's doing great. It's getting greener from the
Nice.
looks of it.
Nice.
It's still not getting taller, which is also good.
Double good.
But
Double good.
yeah, it's doing well. What do you think are I guess we can go into how your lawn is doing. What's your prediction on when we'll have to cut our first
Well,
lawn
time of
time?
recording. This is the spring equinox. So happy spring, first
Ah,
off,
thank
everybody
you,
out
thank you.
there. If you're in the northern hemisphere, if you're in the southern, sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Enjoy your autumn. Um, but I'm gonna say end of April.
Okay, so like another month and a half.
Yeah, I'm gonna well, a
Yeah,
month and a week, I think.
month and a week. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair.
I'm
That's
gonna
fair.
I'm say last weekend in April we should probably cut.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's a pretty fair prediction.
Yeah, yeah. What about you? Where you at?
I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I'm a person who kind of lets the neighbors decide once I hear the humming of the
Mm.
lawnmowers in the
Okay,
air. I'm
okay.
like, okay, I think it's general time. I don't want to wait too long. I don't want to be the last one in the neighborhood to do it. Did that once, but I want to hear some sounds of people mowing their grass because there's gonna be some early birds who probably
There will
mow
be.
earlier than you should, and then a week later I'll probably mow my own.
Yeah, because I'm the type I don't like being told what to do, so I like going out and mowing the lawn and then hearing the lawnmowers pick up after me. I like being
Yeah,
the
you're
first
the
one.
guy who mows a little too early.
Yeah, just to be out
It's like
there.
I don't need to mow it, but I will.
But I'm gonna make everybody else do work today.
That's right. That's right. You should start it like 2 weeks from now. People are like, "What the heck? I guess we should join too."
It's raining today, otherwise I'd be like, let's go out and cut right now. I should probably start the mower, make sure it's all good, because that's the last
That's
thing
fair.
you want to go start a mower to cut the grass and doesn't start. Um,
What do you do? Do you completely drain yours of gas before you are done for the winter?
no, I put in there's like a preserver you can put in.
I don't do that.
It's
Probably
fine.
should. Yeah.
It's good. Well, my lawn is also it's getting greener. It's nice to see. It's spring, so I think we've turned the corner. Hopefully, we've no more snow on the way. I actually put the salt away, so we'll see.
Ah,
hmm hmm
let's hope. Yeah, I'm ready for it to be. It's I really enjoy winter. I really enjoy the cold weather and the snow. But when we had those a few sunny days, a few warm days, like yesterday,
hmm
where it's like high upper 60s, low 70s, sunny, it's nice.
Yep.
It's nice. I miss those.
Wife and I got out for a walk yesterday. Stretched the legs a little bit. It was good. It was good. Plus, having windows open feels good in the house,
Yeah, yeah, it does.
especially when you're spray painting all the fumes for all the Warhammer we're doing, right?
So much Warhammer.
What's good? That's good. Lawn talk, check. Boom. Um,
Done.
well, outside of that, before we get in the hobby, I guess let's talk about our main topic for the day for the fitness portion.
What is it, Chuck?
Do you remember what it is?
Vaguely, we talked about
We
it
talked
like
about it briefly.
yesterday at 11:30
I can't remember for
at
life of me.
night. Well, you don't
I
remember?
remember it all. Like I
That's
remember. I can't
hilarious.
remember the.
That
I
is
remember
so
like we
funny.
talked about it, but I can't remember what we actually decided upon because we were thinking real hard.
I thought you were asking me if I remember like testing me.
No, no, no. Like literally, I need you to. I
um,
need you to cover for me. I'm still sleepy.
yes, you're good. You're good. You're good. Yeah, we'll cut this out for sure. For
No, we
sure.
won't. We won't.
No, it's not gonna cut out. So yeah, we're gonna start. So basically, recently I had a lot of travel,
hmm
more than normal, right? And I kind of had a relatively big change in lifestyle for about 3 weeks,
Right.
and because of that, my schedule was changed, and I was thrown so out of whack that getting back to regular lifestyle last week,
hmm
back to regular work, was a nightmare. Like I just
Right.
could not get on top of it. Um, So I guess to preface the topic, give you some context. I was all over the place for 3 weeks. If you've been following the podcast, you know that I went to Canada to play war games. I then went to Arnold, and then went to Norway,
Yep.
which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it. But to be able to keep up with that, I slowly and surely had to keep increasing the caffeine, and I also was not sleeping well consistently, and also the schedule was all over the place, right? I was staying up way later than I would in regular life, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Which is we both encourage occasionally doing extra caffeine, occasionally getting poor sleep, occasionally staying up late at night. Like 1 or 2 nights a week is not a big deal,
Yeah, like that was
right?
my last night because I was having fun with friends, and like I said, I messaged you like after one because I got home
Yeah,
late.
you
And I was
did.
just like, "Hey, it was nice seeing you," blah blah blah, and
Yeah,
it's just
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, now I'm sleepy
Right, right,
and
right.
can't now I'm sleepy and
Which is
struggling for it today. But
one
that's
day
fine.
a week is not a big deal.
Right.
Two, if you really have to, but 3 weeks of that was definitely
Oh
getting
yeah.
to me.
Oh yeah.
Right? So I got back on Monday of last week, and I was preparing to do my regular work, and I just couldn't. I couldn't get in the rhythm. My
Right.
head was all foggy. Sleep was all over the place. The jet lag, plus the caffeine, plus the B. So it took like a whole week just to get in some semblance of routine, and then just to give myself a hard restart. I decided to go off caffeine entirely for 3 days.
Yeah.
Right? Which is hard to do. Which I guess that's what we're going to talk about
Mm-hmm.
is caffeine and caffeine resensitization and desensitization.
Yeah, because since you're like that science-based lifter, you looked into the timing of everything,
Right,
like
right,
as
right, right.
opposed to just the feeling for it. So it was actually kind of fascinating whenever you brought up how long you need to be off before you kind of are it's through your system and then you can slowly go back on to
Right.
get better effects again.
Yeah, yeah. So if you find yourself in a place, and I think it's honestly this is going to be relatable for a lot of people, just from the people we talk to. Even
Mm-hmm.
Tom last night was mentioning it. How much how much caffeine he does, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it's very common. Like, don't feel bad for doing it because it's extremely common that a lot of people way over rely on caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Are you familiar with like the general dose that the government, the agencies recommend for caffeine for the day?
I don't. I know do 2 cups of coffee. Rare occasions I'll do a third cup in the afternoon, but I'm usually around 200 milligrams a day. I think so. What that works out to
Yeah,
be?
2 to 300. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. Are you doing K cups or are you doing like a pour over coffee?
K cups.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you
So
do K cups, they're pre-measured. It's about 100 milligrams depending on the brand.
yep.
So you do 2 to 300. So you're well within. General recommendations are 3 to 400, and those are basically on the studies we have. All the studies we have show that if you take 400 milligrams a day, there's usually no significant long-term side effects
Oh, okay. That's more than
for
I
caffeine.
expected actually.
It's yeah. Now, a couple things to say there is okay, first let's talk about benefits of caffeine in general,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So caffeine, what it does, it blocks adenosine receptors,
Mm-hmm.
which are the receptors responsible for feeling of tiredness, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, make you tired. It's time to go to bed. Time to recover. Right. In the same way that like you have receptors for pain. Okay, take care of my wounds. Don't do anything with this arm. Let it heal. In the same way, hey, you're tired. You need rest. Right.
Right.
What caffeine does, it blocks those receptors, allowing you to do more things while not feeling tired.
Right. Even though you are still tired.
You are
Yeah.
technically, your body's technically still
Yeah.
tired,
The
right? So you
caffeine
can
doesn't
only
actually wake you up. It just makes you think you're
no,
not tired.
exactly, exactly. That said, we also have a ton of studies that show that caffeine is a great tool for productivity, for performance, for even such strength training, even in context of good sleep.
Hmm.
It is beneficial,
Okay.
right?
There we
So
go.
you don't need caffeine, but it is beneficial.
Yeah. It's just like any other supplement that's useful. However, I think we should say that caffeine, kind of like sugar, can be addicting.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
It's like, and it's I'm curious because like there is, you do get addicted even though like you don't it doesn't control you like anything else. Like sugar, I think controls you a little bit more typically than caffeine. Like I've gone
Maybe.
mornings without coffee because I get busy or something, but the I think the added um, danger to it as far as becoming addicting is I like a warm drink in the morning because it helps me just relax into my morning, and like it's that comfort.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, I could do decaf possibly, but yeah, it's hard to. It's like I said, I'm enjoying my first cup of coffee. It's hard to give up
Yeah.
the comfort
I'm
of it.
enjoying my first cup of coffee.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Though to be fair, I usually start with a half cap
that's a good idea.
because my energy is pretty high in the morning. like the first 4 hours, I really could go without coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't need a full cup of coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
Later in the day, afternoon, I usually will pop a full coffee or an energy drink.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
All
That
right.
makes sense.
So that said, caffeine is a great tool. In general, a good idea to stay below 400, so 400 milligrams or
Yeah.
less,
Yeah. The
right?
people out there pounding monsters. God bless you.
Right. Well, to be fair, I was there, right?
Oh, were
For
you?
those
Okay.
3 weeks, I was there. Yeah. So, uh, caffeine, great tool. If you stay 400. Okay. So I think let's separate in a few sections. Let's
Okay.
separate this in general facts about caffeine, uh, what happens when you abuse caffeine, and then good practices for caffeine.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. So caffeine is a great tool, helps with performance,
Mm-hmm.
can be awesome. Uh, the negative things with caffeine are that it can affect your sleep negatively,
Yep.
right? You do get desensitized to it.
Yep.
So the more you take, the less benefit you get, in a sense of the more you will need.
Right.
So if you don't have a strategy with your caffeine use, like you do, like okay, my baseline is 2 to 3, and that's all I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or my baseline is 2, and occasionally I'm doing 3 if I really need it. That's a strategy. You're good.
Yep.
You're not going to really go over it. Uh, but unless you have a strategy, you're very likely to abuse it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's it is addictive in a sense because when you go off of it, you will go for withdrawals.
Yeah, you will. Like usually, now we say withdrawals. It's not like you're not shaking, convulsing. It's
No,
headaches,
no.
it's irritability,
Headaches,
probably
yes.
probably bad mood, honestly.
Tiredness, bad mood, and can give you migraines.
Okay, give me my okay.
Yep, yep.
Thankfully, I don't suffer from migraines, so
Right,
but if you
right.
do, good. Ooh.
Yes, absolutely. So okay, so let's say you're like me and you found yourself in a position where you were overdoing caffeine,
Mm-hmm.
right? Typically, there's two strategies. Well, there's three strategies.
Okay.
You keep intaking as much caffeine as you can,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
just
yeah. I
never,
guess never
and
stop.
just
Never
yeah,
admit
just
the
keep
problem.
taking 1,000 milligrams a day or whatever you're doing. Because I was pushing. There were days where I was doing like 1,000, 1,200 milligrams.
Whew.
Way too much,
That
right?
is
And I
way
just
too
needed
much.
that because we were doing things, but
Right.
way too much, right? Admittedly, way too much. And you can just keep going and just that's your new maintenance, right? And it sucks, but probably bad for your heart. Definitely bad for your heart at that point.
Yeah.
But that's one option. Not a good option. Don't recommend it. Number two is you wean off, right?
Which
So
is
if you
like, well, yeah. If it's especially if it's like it's really hard to do because you get used to having the drink that you enjoy.
absolutely
And to be fair, I think with like energy drinks, you don't really taste. It tastes like a treat, so it's
it's
hard
like a
to
soda. Yeah,
yeah. So it's hard to get off
yeah,
a treat.
yeah, absolutely. So you wean off, right? Now you don't have to wean off drinks. You just wean off caffeine, right? So
Right.
let's say you start at 1,000 milligrams, and now what I would do is probably cut it down by about 50 to 100 milligrams every 1 or 2 days. If you want to keep it
Yeah.
simple, cut off 100 milligrams every day, right? So let's say you are at 1,000, which is a ton, right?
Hmm.
Which is technically 10 cups of coffee. Now
Yeah.
keep in mind, this is closer to 2 cups of coffee in reality,
Right.
right? It's probably a cup and a half, 12 ounces, maybe even 14. So keep that in mind that a cup of coffee, when I was in Norway, the cup of coffee was actually 8 ounces.
It's
And I was
actually
like,
normal 8 ounces.
this is tiny. This is like a sip.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, so you can wean off until you get to a good point. That's one strategy. And probably and ideally you wean off entirely, so you get down to 0 milligrams
Yeah.
and then reintroduce it. Another strategy, which I think is probably better, you just kind of take the bullet, is you go cold turkey.
And you have what 3 days of just it sucks a little bit, but
Right. It depends how much you do, right? Because I was
sure.
pushing it pretty hard. I did have a pretty bad migraine the first day,
Okay.
right? Maybe a migraine moved into a headache eventually. What you do is you just take some ibuprofen or Tylenol, right? Just deal with it if you actually have to be productive, or just deal with the headache for
Well,
a
you
day.
can take my wife, she's gone off caffeine on occasion a few times, but she'll
Hmm.
have those she'll have I think it's ibuprofen with caffeine, and she'll take
Well,
a
don't do that.
no, she'll take a half one.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure,
yeah,
but that kind of defeats the purpose of going cold turkey
right, but like
if you're taking caffeine.
but like I guess she's more weaning off in that case.
Right? Yeah, she would
Yeah.
be weaning off,
So
which would work.
she
Absolutely.
doesn't do it until she needs it. Then she does a little bit. So gotcha.
Right, right, right. Because they do have caffeine. I don't know why they have caffeine in them. I think it does help with something.
Well,
Um,
caffeine because I think it restricts the blood vessels, so that there's less blood
mm,
going to the head, so there's gonna be less pressure.
oh, that makes sense.
I
That
think
makes
that's how
sense.
caffeine works, which is why it's bad for your heart in high doses because it's
Ah.
shrinking all the blood vessels,
That makes
if I
sense. Huh.
remember correctly.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so if you go cold turkey, the first day is going to suck.
Hmm.
But from the research that I've seen, just going cold turkey for 3 full days, right? So that's what, 72 hours,
72
right?
hours. Yep.
72 hours. You will get most of the benefits of getting resensitized to caffeine. Now, you could go
Oh.
longer to get further benefit.
Okay.
So, like if you go a full week, you'll probably get completely resensitized. If you go 2 weeks, it's probably good for your
I
discipline, right?
I've usually seen people do like when I've done it for a week. I think
Right.
our friend Kevin, he just had a
Yes.
strongman show. I think he went off for 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah, and like you do feel it when you come back, and you're just like, ooh.
Absolutely. And there are benefits to other benefits too, right? Like your sleep is going to be in a better place.
Yeah,
Your circadian rhythm is going to be in a better place. Your
your recovery's
discipline is
better.
probably
Yep.
going to be better. Recovery is better, right? So absolutely. However, to get resensitized to caffeine again, 3 days is really all you need. You could push to 4 or 5 if you really want to, but to get resensitized again, so you once you start feeling the benefits of caffeine again, 3 days is plenty. So
Okay.
72 hours,
Perfect. Yeah.
right? And I can attest to this personally because even most recently, when I had no caffeine, literally yesterday, right, was my first day going back. All I did was have a cup and a half of coffee,
Nice. And you probably
right?
felt great.
And I felt amazing. Honestly, to the point where, and I had a cup, like the latest I had was 4, and I was going to bed at like 12, no, probably close to 1.
Okay.
And I was kind of having trouble falling asleep.
Right. Okay.
And that was what, 8, 9 hours ago. Before that, I was having caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
So even just a cup and a half, which was about 150 milligrams, was enough for me to feel it after going and off entirely for 3 days.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's only 3 days. Whenever you told me, I guess, like I said last night. Like I said, it's not that I didn't remember the conversation. I'm just very sleepy. And I need my caffeine, which is a very fun way it worked out in this. But yeah, just when you told me it was only 3 days, I was like, I was shocked. I thought it would be much longer.
Yeah, you really don't need a lot to get resensitized. Now, there's other benefits to going off longer, right?
Sure.
If I really wanted to fix my sleep, because I tell you what, when I go off caffeine, I'm ready to go to bed during bedtime. Like it's
Yeah,
8:30, I'm like, I need to wind down and sleep. That's all I'm doing.
that's good. Yeah, and that's probably a good indicator of you're doing enough. You're doing the right amount still. Because like me, 11:30. So that's my typical. All right, it's pumpkin time. I got to go bed. I'm getting sleepy. Like I can
Yeah,
push it if I'm having fun with friends for like a game night,
right,
but
right.
which I mean, like I said, that's a good indicator to know that I'm regularly tired at the same time and I regularly get up at the same
That's a
time.
great sign. That's
So
such a good sign.
so it means
Yeah,
I'm doing my caffeine right, which makes me very happy because you always got to worry a little bit, like am I doing too much? Am I relying on it? And I am
right,
to a point, but it's not it's not 10 cups of coffee a day. Honestly,
right.
honestly,
Exactly.
I remember there was one time. Um, so me and wife, we enjoy our Asian market down in the city, and I bought a bunch of these. They're called Boss Coffees. It's a Japanese brand coffee, and they're true 8 ounces, and they're like nothing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But they're a full cup of coffee. And there was one day I had my normal 2 cups of coffee, and it's probably like midday. I was like, I'm gonna have another one early. I kind of feel like I need it, and I grabbed one, and I didn't realize it was a tall can that had 200 milligrams.
Oh no.
I did feel it. Like
Yeah.
I was like, like I'm
It's
just like,
twice more than usual for you. So
yeah,
yeah, that makes sense.
it was a lot, but
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So I would say general good practice for caffeine. In general, keep it to 400 milligrams or less.
Yeah.
And what I would do, because the thing is, if you always have 400 milligrams, you will not necessarily see more benefits from having those, right? So what I would do is take a day or two uh, where you can go down to as little as you can of caffeine, right? So what I would do is actually what I used to do, didn't do it for a while,
Mm-hmm.
is I would take Sundays off entirely. So I
Oh,
usually don't do
nice.
any work on Sundays.
Yeah.
So I literally would do 0 milligrams,
Okay. Yeah.
right? I would have decaf coffee, I would have decaf tea, herbal tea, right? Or like caffeine-free sodas. They have
Yep.
those. Uh, and what I'm planning to do is Saturdays, because Saturdays I usually work a half day, so it's not a full day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm planning to only have like a cup of coffee.
Nice.
So
There
maybe
you go.
100, 150 milligrams of caffeine. That's what I'm planning to do. But it's a really good idea to kind of have a mini resensitization cycle almost, where you stop or you cut down on caffeine as much as you can to then, quote unquote, feel the caffeine more during the rest of the week.
That's a good idea. I should maybe try that. Maybe Sundays, yeah, just have one. Oh, see, or maybe Saturdays. Yeah, I might try that. That'd be fun to just to experiment with. See if I can feel a
Because you
little
don't
bit
need to
more.
work. Yeah, you're probably doing fun things anyway, so
Yeah, I
you
don't
have
need
the
to
energy
rush
to
out
do
the door
them.
typically.
Right, right. And because we are talking about sleep, caffeine does have a half life of up to 8, 10 hours. right? So it means it's tougher to still in your system that
Hmm.
long. So it's a good idea not to have it at least 8 hours before bed,
Oh yeah, yeah,
right? So if you go to
absolutely,
bed
yeah.
at 10, no caffeine past 2, which is honestly hard to do sometimes.
It
Because
is,
let's
yeah,
say you have an 8 to 4 job, you usually get to the gym around 4:30 or 5, and you want some pre-workout to get you for the workout, and now it affects your sleep, and you're in that cycle
yep,
of
yep, yep.
energy. So yeah, as much as you can, try not to have caffeine close to bedtime,
Gotcha.
especially like 6 to 8 hours is minimum.
Perfect. And Ronnie Coleman, he's been agreeing this whole time. He's just nodding silently. Um,
Thank you, Ronnie.
yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you. No, it's good.
Good
It's
having you on.
that, like I said, it was very fascinating. Like I said last night when you mentioned it was only 3 days, so that's good tips. Like there's a lot of stuff there I didn't even realize how quickly it can go, and like yeah, I'm surprised the recommended amount is that high because I've
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
but I guess
400
it's
milligrams is a lot.
yeah, I guess it's probably just a tolerance level. Like so when I had 400, I was like but I guess if you're having two monsters in the morning, I
That's
don't even
right.
know how many
Well,
milligrams it is, but it's
keep in
probably a
mind,
lot.
400 is just a number that there's no side effects long term, right? It's
Oh,
not
right, right.
necessarily recommended that you're going to get more benefit from it.
Yeah,
It's just tolerable upper limit that there's not going to be any issues.
fair, fair.
You, if you get plenty of benefit from 200 milligrams, then there's no need to go higher,
Right.
right? It's just a good general practice never to go over a 400 if you can.
You're right. Like I said, sometimes you're in Norway and you're jet lagged, and
Yeah,
or you
yeah,
drove all night to see some buddies in Canada. You might need some
exactly,
caffeine, and it's
exactly.
okay.
Might need some caffeine. Yes,
Nice.
yes.
I love
Just
that.
don't do it 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, yeah. Don't do all your don't do your world travel nonstop like that.
It's wild.
But yeah, no, that was good. I appreciate that. Like, 'cause it makes me even happier too. Like having my San Francisco trip under me, and I stayed on the East Coast time, and I kept with my regular caffeine intakes, just because that's honestly I was a more boring routine person than taking care of myself. So, um,
Oh, that's very good. Very wise.
that's nice. But okay, well, hey, thank you for telling us all about the caffeine because I learned a lot today.
Good, good. Yeah, it's and it's I forget, it's never fun to start that cut for the caffeine,
Yeah.
right? But by the end of it, like I felt so good yesterday. I know I'm gonna feel really good today, even if I didn't get the best sleep.
Hmm.
And then it's just a matter of staying on top of it, not letting it get off hand, like I did, which is for a good reason, but still, if it does happen, I would recommend to cut it down again.
Yeah. Well, it's like anything. At this point, like you got to realize sometimes it's getting away from you. You're doing it too much. You need to stop doing it for a while and
Yeah,
keep the discipline
yeah,
up. So, we all have
absolutely,
those things,
absolutely.
including you, Ronnie. Um, all right. Perfect. Well, with that, let's check out some of your hobby, Alex. You sent me some pictures from
Yeah,
the game night last night.
I
Uh,
did.
boom, boom, boom. Which there we go. There we go. Hey, Ronnie's still there. He's just chilling. We'll leave him up. Um, yeah. So it looks like a game of Old World. Uh,
Yes, yeah. So Luke and I played a small game of Old World, 1,000 points
nice.
of his high elves versus goblins.
Hmm.
I had 1,000 points of goblins. Yeah, it was a good game. It actually went till around 5. I kind of had the edge. My Doom Diver, which does nothing anytime I play you besides
Yeah,
exploding,
it just explodes. Yep.
uh, but actually managed to kill his griffin, which was fantastic.
Nice.
Yep, yep. And after killing his griffin, it was hard for him to come back because it was his only punch in the army.
Yeah, 1,000 points.
To
Yeah.
be fair, I did bring a level 4 for a 1,000 point game, so it's kind of on me.
Hey, I've been bringing two
But
dragons. I can't yell at you for power gaming.
yeah, right, right. Okay, good, good,
I
good.
can't. I can't.
Yeah, you could make an argument that goblin level 4s are not as good, but it's still a level 4,
True.
right? And he only had level 2, so it's honestly primarily due to that I really shut down his magic, and he really couldn't do a whole lot against my magic. That's probably the biggest issue. He could have been a bit more aggressive because I had a unit of ambushers, which can show up later in the game in
Hmm.
his back line, and he kept both of his shooting units to guard his one bolt thrower.
So you could just
And I
avoid it.
think he could have just avoided it and had got maybe better shots at half range because he has
Hmm.
long 30-inch bows. That's probably the only thing I could have done differently. But actually, it was honestly turn 5 is what decided it
Hmm.
because he got a lot of my units to like less than half of the unit, and he just
Just
didn't
wasn't.
quite manage to kill them.
Yeah, just not enough to take him off the table.
Yeah, but a really fun game. I like playing Luke, and I love playing Old World.
Nice. Oh yeah, Old World's great. It was fun watching some of that game go on too, just to see what could be done and how it's going.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I see you played some Kill Team.
Yes, yes. So Brandon taught me Kill Team, which was actually really fun. It was my first time playing Kill Team. I had the Commandos team for Kill Team for a long time. Shout out to Dr. Rhino on
Mm-hmm.
Twitch for painting them for me. And it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. We didn't do any secondaries or any tactics or whatever else you do in that game.
Yeah.
We just kind of killed each other. But it was really fun. Actually, it was very close because I only had, it was pretty balanced because I had a team of I think 10. He had a team of like 10 or 11.
Yeah, the teams
So
are
it
pretty.
felt
They're
pretty
pretty built
close.
and balanced. Yeah.
Right. And I really like the mechanics. Really like the rules. Honestly, it felt very similar to Warcry.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. 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 I've played a
And
little bit of this Kill Team edition. It's fun. It's a lot to manage, I think, for what I want out of a skirmish game. But
okay,
I see like if you really you can get really nitty gritty with the tactics on it. It's kind of cool.
yeah, really fun. I'm actually very excited to play more games.
Nice. Perfect. Well, and then you're continuing to work on. Did you mention that you're working on a new army?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm working on Skaven. I'm not really sure what big project I'm working on right now.
Sure. You're
So
just
I
kind of
kind of
playing
have a
around.
few in my mind, but I do want to build a smaller Skaven force for Old World.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
because we don't have one at the barn that's regularly there. So I'd like to add some different flavor to our Old World games.
Let's have all the high elves.
That's right, a lot of high elves.
Perfect. Well, with that, it's time for us to head out, Alex. So I know it's sad. It's sad.
So sad.
We'll be
You can
back
see a
next week,
tear
everybody, for more
rolling down my
fitness
cheek.
and more hammer and lawn talk with Alex. But I'm gonna throw it over to myself with Neil, sometime in the future when I record.
Very fair.
All right,
See you guys.
and we are back with the even more handsome end of the show with Neil.
Yeah. I actually just I showed my wife a picture like popped up on my Facebook of me with a beard 5 years ago,
Yeah.
which was your color, and
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I forget.
now I think we're about 80% gray in 5 years. So, whew,
Well, the
so
way yours is graying, but you still have like the
still got the Hogan going
yeah,
on here.
the Hogan's its own color. I think it's really good. Like I every day I wake up like I'm praying. It's like, okay, when I grade, do I get like the side first? Man, I don't know.
Mm,
I'm
yeah.
probably gonna get like a big poof here, and it's like, oh.
Look at you, no kids, not a stitch of gray, maybe one or two.
Oh no, I have some gray. My wife points it out. I have like maybe like one or two in the beard, but you can't tell unless it's long.
You got
I
a
get
long
like
way
one
to
or
go.
two here, and then like a
Uh-huh.
couple on the chest hairs, and like, but
Mm,
I don't see them. And then the wife is just like, oh, there they are. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
fine. Well, you have to see them. I don't.
Mhm.
Ugh. All right, beard. Hey, new
Beard talk.
beard talk segment
New segment, beard talk. There we go.
for the two guys that don't shut up about high elves.
That's right. Hey, guess what we're going to talk about today? Look up here.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to do the shirt for you. Anyway, we'll get there. We should talk about everyone's favorite topic, the lawn. It's been warmer. It's cold again. We've had some rain. Things are green over here. I'm not sure what they like in Northeast Ohio right now. What's the lawn like?
It's March. It's March, so we're in spring, and stuff's starting to push up through the flower beds and everything. So most of what's pushing up through the flower beds are, in fact, weeds, the bane of my existence. And so, but that's not the lawn per se. Yeah, lawn's doing okay. Try to go out there throw the football with my kids,
There you go.
and they just refuse to clean up the dog crap in that lawn. So it's going to become a chore for them.
Yep.
I was getting pretty frustrated yesterday. Dodged the poop.
Was
But
it?
outside of that, the lawn is looking good.
Yeah.
It's coming back, and it won't be long before we're mowing that baby.
Oh yeah, that's I almost we had like that 70-degree weather early on. I'm like, I kind of want to go just start the mower up. I was talking about it with Alex too. I should just start the mower. But then it might start a chain reaction, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I've ruined it. We're all mowing now because someone thinks I'm mowing instead of just testing the mower.
I have two mowers. I have one brand spanking new electric mower that lasted me a season before it crapped out, and I have to get it fixed. And I have another one. I've been married now almost 18 years. That was a wedding gift, and the wheel falls off of it every once in a while, but this baby just does not stop.
That's what.
It's Old Faithful.
There you
So
go.
that's what I use to cut the grass. Yeah.
We should you know what, when we start cutting the grass, we should take a picture of our mowers because my yard's not nearly as big as yours. You have a nice lush yard, so I only need a push mower.
Well, mine's a push as well.
Oh, it's push.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you might have a riding, but
No, I had a riding at one point, but it was something my dad gave me that literally he was putting sheet metal onto because of the rust. It was rusted out in
oh,
some parts. So he was like, nailing sheet metal onto this baby, and God bless him. My dad keeps things forever,
yep,
and they work forever. I'll run through the same thing that he would have in like 2 years, and his will last 30. But it
yeah,
was looking a little patchy, a little rough. And I've got a side of my lawn that goes straight down like this, and so I was like hanging off the mower to try and counterbalance it,
yeah,
at one point, which you shouldn't do. Don't
no,
do
yeah,
that.
don't do that. but we all do it because it's
But here I am, yeah.
No, the reason I say it is my push mower is also crap. It's supposed to have those automatic wheel things to help. One of them does it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Mine blew out years ago as
yeah.
well. So.
It's rusty, and actually last year, so little handlebar for the pull cord, not the pull cord to start it, the pull cord to keep it going.
Mhm,
It rusted and broke.
mhm.
And it's a $15 part, but why would I do that whenever I only think about it right before I'm about to cut the grass, and I can just push the thing in and just wrap that wire around it and start it right up, and doesn't that baby doesn't stop till I go over and unwind it, which also you should not do. That automatic safety thing is there for a reason, but I don't have any hills, so I'm okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's gonna be the most extensive lawn talk we've had in a while.
I think it is. I
Yeah,
think it is. Well, it's spring,
hey, spring,
So
yeah, it's getting excited. But with that, we should jump over to a little bit of hobby. I haven't seen any like really exciting news. Um,
nothing,
anything?
nothing
Anything?
lately.
I mean, the only exciting news is they decided to delay the Age of Sigmar big update, and they decided to tell us apparently as a footnote in some hobby thing that no one read. I heard that on Warhammer Weekly, and I was just like, sounds about right.
Jeez. Thankfully, somebody reads those and finds that kind of stuff out.
Well, if it said Old World, you could have put anything in there. If it said Old World, I'd read that whole thing thoroughly, and I'd put a video up on it, and I'd be like, oh,
Surely.
okay. All right. We'll start with my hobby because your hobby kind of bleeds into the topic, which is Neil went to an event.
I went to a match play event of my own accord, which I've never done, technically outside of the barn, which I didn't really
I
consider an
wouldn't consider
event
that. Yeah.
because it was friends, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it was good, but we'll run through mine because mine's a little bit shorter, and then yeah, like we'll just let it bleed over. So
Mhm.
let me get mine up here. So boom, I'm gonna start with my games first. So over the course of the last week, I've gotten 3 games in, all against my friend Tom. He's gonna be doing some night shift work, like 7 12-hour shifts or something crazy. So he's essentially yeah, just to pretend he's gone for a whole month. So him and I were trying to get some games in, get him some good Warhammer. Actually, that's not the game I want to start with. I want to start with this game. So I was like, okay, I stumbled upon what I thought was a kind of a BS build for for the high elves. Double dragon, prince, dragon mage. Actually, it was all cavalry. That was the more theme of it. So prince on dragon, dragon mage, 2 units of dragon princes, a big block of sorry, excuse me, silver helms, with a noble BSB in there, and of course the toughness 4 banner. As you got to,
Mhm.
and I had a Tyrannok chariot just to keep the theme. So it wasn't a big profile, but I was like, okay, let's do it. And I told Tom, you can see him in the back here, in his natural state with his Jesus fish shirt and a cigarette in his hand. um, I told him like, hey, I'm bringing a painful list. He's like, okay, cool. So he knew the expectation of the game. He brought his Ogre Death Star, which he's been running this since 8th edition. And he's kind of got it in a place with Old World where it's a tough thing again. Like, at first it was kind of an easy thing to break apart. He's retooled it to kind of keep the flavor of it alive. So it's been a tough matchup every time I fought it. But not with my Double Dragon list. Absolutely ruined his night with this one. Usually Tom and I will play, we're casual, we'll chat and, throughout the whole thing, and like, we're having a drink and chatting with other people. Usually we'll play for about 4 hours. I think it's a standard game for us, like casually.
Mhm.
Hour and a half.
Wow.
First game done 9:30. And like I said, it was just a rout. He did kill a lot of my stuff, but my dragon, my prince on dragon just would not die. And it was a star dragon too, and it just would not let up, and just eventually broke the big block himself and ran it down. Even though everything else on my side was also dead, that was the last fight, and he could not get through it.
Mhm.
Um, So he's like, okay. He's like, let's re-rack. Let's play a different game. I'm like, all right, sure, no problem. So I'm like, I only have this list. Are you okay with that? He's like, yep. I brought a second list. So he had what has been a nightmare for me, and I'm surprised we don't see more out there on the competitive circuit. At least, I mean, I'm not looking at lists, but I don't hear about this through some of the other podcasts I listen to that talk about that stuff. But it's a Dark Elf Avoidance list. Dragon, a bunch of Doomfires, a bunch of Dark Riders. I think a BSB on a Chariot, Cold One Chariot. I think there's some Cold One Riders. And we did have a river on the table, but that was actually more hurting me mostly, with the exception of my Reavers, because they had the Banner of Illyrian in them. Or not Reavers, my oh yeah, I had Reavers in this list too. But Silverhelms, they didn't really care, because they had the move through cover stuff. So we played on 9 2x2 boards for this game, just to mix it up a little bit, gives ourselves a little more space.
Mm.
And I saw where he put his 2 big blocks of Doomfire of Dark Riders, and his Doomfires were off to the left. I was like, I'm just going to counter deploy against his big blocks, because I thought if I can push so he can't escape me, because the problem is that list just runs away. Like, I've played it with my infantry high elf list, and I can't do anything. I can't touch it because it's fire and flee too far away. I can never catch it. I can never more. I kill a few things here and there.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, this is my one shot. So he went first. He kind of pushed up, all that sort of fun. Not well, pushed up, pulled back. It was like he was playing the cagey match. It was throwing
Let
the
me
dart.
ask you something real quick.
Yeah,
Do you prefer going first, or do you prefer, like, depending on your list, do you prefer going first or second?
that is interesting. I usually like going. Well, I'm trying to think. It depends on the matchup. If I'm against someone who's a heavy shooting and I have my normal high elf infantry list, I want to go first to get my buffs up, my ethereal, my ward save, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
If it's more of a combat and army I'm focusing on, I want to go second and let them come up so I can maybe get some long charges potentially.
Hmm.
With this dragon list, I don't care. If I go first, I push up. Here, deal with dragons. I'll keep my Silverhelms back a little bit, and my dragon princes have counter charge. So, and if you want me to go first, cool. I'm just moving up. My dragon princes have counter charge. It's like it doesn't matter, or you're closer to me. So,
Sure, sure.
yeah, it's really list and matchup dependent in my mind. But anyway, bottom of round 1, I get to go. I push up. I corner him. I corner most of his stuff in the corner, on the screen, like I guess be my top right. And he realizes that I've cornered him. He can no longer escape, and next turn I was gonna kill about 3/4 of his army. And he's like, okay, good game. Like, and like it was funny. Like he wasn't complaining. Like he was complaining about the -4 every time like my dragon with the Star Lance swung. He was complaining about it, but like he wasn't like, it wasn't like any hard feelings. He's like, that's a
Yeah.
strong list, and we even sat down and he started helping me make it better. Like I dropped the chariot, I threw in some sisters. I'm like, okay, drop the theme. Like how can I tune this bad boy up?
Yeah.
So he was thinking about that all week, and last night he's like, bring the same list, Chuck, and he brought his corn list, Chaos Warriors list, all corn theme, no magic. And he's like, let's do it. So we kind of did opposite sides, same table as the last game, and it was going real good. Like, tell you what, silver helm bus, toughness 4, just wrecks. It killed his Chaos Warrior block. Like, just took it out, ran it over. I mean, Dragon Princes were there to help, but I was doing good work. But he had the Monster Slayer. I was making some saves. I was doing pretty good. Killed some of his big stuff, but we were probably bottom of 5, about to go into 6. And I was looking at it and like, because he had killed my dragons. I had some stuff left. I'm like, mathematically, 5 Reavers can't do 5 wounds onto his lord. I had 3 Dragon Princes left in the unit and maybe some silver helms. I'm like, I couldn't touch his characters at a certain point because they had too much defense with their Eye of the Gods rolls or things like that, or they're just too far away. I'm like, okay, good game. He won on points mathematically. He's probably gonna win by he's gonna win by at least 100 points, even if I killed one of the two things.
Yeah.
That's the problem I have with not problem. It's a personal problem I have with trying to beat Chaos Warriors. That if I don't get those characters quick, they become too powerful that I can't find anything in my army to kill them.
Yeah.
But still, great game. Like,
so like what we were talking before we started, and just to kind of give you guys, if you are running dragons or something like that, if you're running high elves, you have access to a talisman that's 20 points. It's called Opal Amulet. Gives its bearer a 2+ ward save against a single wound. Now it's and it is extremely common, so you could get a couple of these if you really wanted to. Okay.
Yeah.
So you think about how many times you really need to save with a dragon, right? You got the toughness 6 defending against you anyway. You probably have a Seed of Rebirth on your guy.
Yep. Enchanted Shield.
You probably have a ward as well if you're playing that way. But this is basically Monster Slayer protection.
Yeah.
So, if you run into Bretonians, Chaos Warriors, whatever, anything else that can, pop your dragon real quick. Just gives you basically a, 89% chance that doesn't happen.
Yeah. So I'll be tooling my list a little bit later on today to add those in for sure. Maybe at least one on the Dragon Mage because he's usually support.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's
87%. Yeah, I have to do the math.
It's math, yeah. But
it's high.
Yeah. And to be honest, I think the best thing for that game before I talk about my hobby was the fact that he did find a way to beat me, which made me so happy because when you get that list that just can't lose, it's boring. I'm like, then I'm always going to want to take it. I'm like, now I'm like, okay, I can keep tooling, keep tweaking. Like, where can I maximize more points for my BS list?
Right.
And so it's not the only list I'm going to play. I'm going to run other lists that are just fun and thematic. I'm just like, but like this will be my quote unquote tournament list. But it's nice that it's not going to auto win. It will auto win against some matchups and some players who aren't ready for a dragon, let alone two. But
sure. I think if you're playing in a competitive tournament, most people will be prepared for a dragon. You have to be, and if you're not, then well, you're probably not doing too well.
Actually, kind of fascinating. I was listening to Mountain Miniatures. He was talking to Dolby After Dark, and Dolby After Dark's he's team captain for UK.
Yeah, I think I listened to the same one.
Yeah, and he was talking to how in the more competitive scene they're starting to get away from the dragons and more avoidance levels.
Yeah,
which is like, okay, that's neat. But I said, I think I already feel comfortable that if you had an avoidance list with my dragon list, because I have so much cavalry, that I could still catch you.
Yeah. The question though is, can you catch them and still do enough?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I've only seen one avoidance list. It would be interesting to see. But I like that because it's like, okay, meta's shifted, counter it again with this new thing. So it's the evolving scene is kind of fun.
Right. You hear about a lot of these things, and I don't know about the people out there, right? But my current scene over here is just kind of getting legs underneath of it. And so there's people starting like 500-point escalation leagues. We'll talk about some of this when I talk about my tournament and everything. So I think the scene's going to massively grow around here over the next year or so. So that'll be awesome. But like it's going to take a while for it to evolve, I think, to that level. Whereas you get to play games weekly and everything. Yeah. And so, you may start to see some of this stuff a little bit more. But
we went
over here. Yeah.
We went a whole year before we even touched dragons.
Yeah.
And God bless you. I hope everybody has that. I hope you have that in your scene. Like casually.
I'm the problem. I'm the problem. It's me.
Dude, well, you have to keep us updated on how that scene's evolving, like what the meta's looking like over there. Because you know what's going to happen. Eventually, it was in May, June. Not spoilers, but there's going to be an intermixing a little more of the two scenes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
It should be. Yeah. I hope that we get some more of you Pittsburgh guys and Pennsylvania guys down there as well. So I'm already putting the heavy pressure onto Hayward, Big M. To come on down as well.
Yeah, we're pressuring Brad too. So.
yeah. I want to see Brad down there. Brad's definitely going to be able to bring something competitive. So,
yeah.
But keep going.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I just have a little bit of hobby. Had more games than hobby this week, which is kind of exciting. So I painted up my Malneth Witchblade figure to go with my daughter's cane army. She was fun. That's a great sculpt. I bought two. Not accidentally. Like I knew I was doing it. Um, her face is really nice. I didn't do it justice, but it does match the consistency of how I do my faces with the rest of the army. So I was like, okay, I was happy with it. But the other one's hanging up still. I might get that commission painted by someone really talented for like a display piece, but still, I'm happy. Got her on the table. She actually does have some rules. Someone in the Daughter's Cane WhatsApp posted it. I don't know. I don't think they're official. I don't know if she's in the app. I didn't check, but it's cool, and I look forward to reading the book.
Yeah.
And then I on my painting desk right now. So I finished assembling out of a nightmare mode and painting the Great Eagle. It's ready for basing, and I'm currently painting through the 4 white lions for that little fun right now. And then I have a handmaiden and a chariot. I'm kind of just I decided to grab like the random stuff before I dive into like any units or anything for my high elves. So I'm kind of working through these, and then I'm gonna do the Ishavest next, and maybe like I might do all of my resin. So Ishavest, the Tracian Lord, and then the Marworm. But for right now, I got some high elves on the hobby desk. I just finished some Daughters of Cain stuff, so I'm in a good place for hobby. I'm enjoying life right now, and I
Yeah.
don't need to have any of it done except for maybe Ishavest, because I want to run her army. That's it.
Yeah. I will say after the event, I started thinking about that army, the Sea Guard army, and I'm like, I don't know, man. That one it'll be a challenge to see how you run that, especially if you start getting used to dragons and then you have to run that army. You might be like, whoa, what am I doing here? Like, because I have run Sea Guard now with like a Razor Banner.
Yep.
And, obviously, I'm not telling anything anybody doesn't already know, but strength 3 shooting, even with AP,
Yeah.
2, is like, it doesn't do what you want it to do, really. So it's like AP 3, okay, it's still not going to do a whole ton of a lot, and that's a lot of points to sink into a unit that's not going to do a whole ton of a lot, right?
Yeah.
And if you're running against a lot of like evasion kind of lists, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to take points off of things, but yeah. So anyway, we'll get into more of that later.
Yeah, I'll be curious too, because yeah, it's definitely not going to be a competitive list. Like I'm going to tweak it and see what I can do. But yeah, I'm used to running Sea Guard though in my old list, but it was like more of a bunker for a mage. So now it's gonna be more of a Death Star. We'll get there when we get there. I just want to run that so I can have run every type of army that there is. And then everybody out there still listening. I know there's probably a few people out there are going like, weren't you guys doing your own armies of infamy? Yes. Neil and I are just finalizing, tighten some things up. I'm going to do that for mine this weekend. So maybe next weekend we can talk about it. We'll, barring time and everything. So with personal life stuff. But all right, now we're going to get into Neil's hobby, and then him telling us about all those wonderful games he had.
Yeah. So hobby wise, my printer has finally hit the fritz. I was wondering when it was going to happen. One of the things about 3D printing, and one of the worst things that can possibly happen, is if you're not checking your VAT after every print, making sure that you don't have any kind of cured resin in there. And usually I'm pretty good at checking that, but every once in a while you get like a crystal clean print and you're like, okay, we'll just clean off this plate and everything, make sure there's nothing on it, and we'll run another one right after. And somehow I got a pinhole in my FEP sheet, which is what the resin sits on top of. That is not good. Without me knowing it, I had a failed print afterwards. And so I was just like, I'll just run the cleaner. It's probably just, whatever. And unfortunately, what I didn't know was there's some resin got onto my LCD screen. And as soon as you run that cleaner, which, by the way, turns on the entire light on the entire plate,
instantly cures,
it just automatically cured that resin onto my LCD screen for about a quarter of my screen. So is it still usable? Yes. Do I need a new FEP sheet? Yes. Do I probably need a new LCD screen? Also, yes, that to the tune of about $100 is what that's going to cost me. So for you people who are considering 3D printing, something like that does happen.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, the price on those real cheap models starts going up, right? So these are things that can happen. So it's not all sunshine and rainbows when you're 3D printing. So, anyway, so that was a thing. But prior to that happening, I was able to get everything I needed printed for you, Chuck, out. So I've got
very
another
kind.
bus printed. I've got some wings printed up uh, for Mark,
Mm-hmm.
who requested some wings. And let's see what else. I think it's just those two.
Yeah, but
I printed a base, but
base.
I decided to go back on my word and keep my
No, it's fine. You're
my
good.
Stormweaver on Unicorn because I couldn't put another one. So
Yep,
I
it's
apologize.
perfectly understandable. You keep that. That's perfectly fine.
But I will get you one eventually. And I did saw off the fleur de lis on the front there.
You did? Okay, okay. I was curious if that would be
It
a
was a
problem.
very easy, just knock those off real quick. And so I'm excited to paint her next. That's so I just painted a unit, a core unit, and so I am ready to do some more. What do I say? Character models, something like that. Something that's going to kind of cleanse the palette and be fun for a second. So
I don't know. I like these. I on screen right now is the Lyrian Reavers you painted up, and I love them. They're very characterful.
They're very good models.
Yeah, those are solid.
These are from what do I want to say? Last Sword Miniatures again. So they do great work. And these ones, I do want to put some bows on them at some point. Some of them do have the quiver and arrows, but they don't have bows attached to them. You can print them with bows in their hands and stuff, but I don't like the mismatchy thing. And because the base unit comes just with the spears and everything, I just decided to go with the spears instead of the bows.
Okay.
And I didn't want to have like one guy with a bow out, another guy with a spear out. I just thought that,
right.
not for me.
Yeah.
So I'll just put some bows on their backs at some point. But it is not this day. Printer being the state that it is.
Yep.
So, but yeah, they came out pretty good. I
Yeah.
did take some time on these guys. I did want to try and make it as clean as I could. Again, still kind of struggling with bright colors and figuring out how to.
Man, I don't know. Your light blue is just growing on me as your army expands.
Yeah, some of that is the way I take the pictures on them because it's like the light is so bright that it kind of pops out any of the highlighting I do and really just makes they still look good even outside of that, but it just looks a little bit more crisp because of the light box.
Yeah, fair.
So kind of pulls it out a little bit more, but I'm really happy with that light blue as well. So
yeah, I love it too because I can't wait to eventually there's gonna be a team event where you and I both take high elves and I have my Illyrian themed and you have your Verse themed, and it's gonna be very cool to see that together.
Yeah,
because it's sorry, go ahead.
It'll be similar. It'll feel like elves, right? But they'll be two completely different armies, and so it won't be hard to tell what's coming from my army and what's coming from yours. So I think that's neat.
Yeah. Also, is that one of the new transfers I see on the banner?
It is.
Nice.
It is.
Okay.
They don't have any Ivres transfers, unfortunately. So I went with one that was pretty innocuous. The question there was they've got one that's got like the blue heart and one that's got a red heart, and so that was a decision there that I wanted to make. But Ivres is navy and light blue and yellow, yellow and black as well. So I decided to go with the darker blue there.
Nice.
Just to kind of match it at least a little bit. Transfer went on real nice. No problem there at all getting that thing on. No worries about it kind of folding up. No worries about it kind of breaking apart or any of that kind of stuff.
So, yeah, I've not used the high elf ones, but I imagine they're very similar to the Horus Heresy ones, which have been the best transfers I've ever used.
Yeah.
Like they're solid, but they go on perfectly.
Yeah. I will say I'm a little bit disappointed with the transfers in terms of the variety. There is a lot of variety on there. It's just not the variety I want. So like I can't be mad about that. I saw what they were beforehand and I did want them to make sure that I had them. But I considered buying 2 of the transfer sheets when they came out, but I'm kind of glad I didn't. So because just my theme and everything.
Yeah. There is like other companies out there that do have transfers you can like make your own and things like that. I think Mike Keel was telling us about that for Bretonnian specifically because I need unicorns for all my shields, but also I don't care anymore because it's Bretonnian and high elves are out. But I wonder if we could find out there like one specifically for our army, because it'd be fun to have that on there.
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, that's something I'm definitely going to look into then, because I've got 30 spearmen that need some type of, and the shields are flat, so they're primed for a transfer to go onto there.
Nice.
And so I need some Everest ones on there just to really drive home what we're doing over here.
I love it.
But yeah, that's been pretty much the hobbies. Is printing, taking some time painting there. Those were fun. I really took a long time on that standard bearer, so
He looks really good. Like he was the
kind
first.
of the test model there. So
He was the first one you did. Like you sent that separately before. It's like, oh, it looks good.
Yeah.
And it's. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
One thing about them, sorry, one more thing is like I've got like the champions. Like I always kind of put like a special something on like the champion. So I like to put like a flower down in front of him. It looks like the horse. Like it's too much with just the flock. So that's getting popped off there. I'm going to change that. But
That's fair.
It doesn't look right. So.
Yeah, I get you. I like the call out where it's easy to see, especially if it's a alternate sculpt. Like we all know the GW champions are pretty easy, but
Right.
you could always do the bear head maybe.
I hate the bear heads.
Okay, no bear heads.
I'm a helmet guy through and through. Always been a helmet guy. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we're waging war here. We're not going in without something on our dome. So.
Isha Vess and her voluptuous ponytail disagree with you.
That's true. And she is like that for me as well.
It's so funny. I'm not to dive back in, but I forget what it was. I did a couple resin models recently. I did the Burlak, like the dwarf engineer, and I did a Ram Tomb King that I just picked up when I was down in Dallas to sit at Warhammer Cafe. And boy, do I hate building resin kits just as much as I hate building metal kits anymore. Like it's just like the glue won't hold, and it's just like, ugh. Sorry, like that's why I didn't start with Isha Vess. I'm like, let me get these metal ones out of the way because
I'm not a pinner. I have done it. I've never done it on a metal model. I just super glue the living shit out of it, so I know it's not gonna go anywhere. And then that's that. Hit it with the accelerator, move on with my life. And I know that makes it more brittle, so if I drop it, guess we're gonna be doing it again. Okay.
I glue and let it set propped up, so I don't use the accelerator, so it fully cures, and then I add more glue and more glue and more glue. I have dragons with metal wings in my armies that it's fine and it's working. If they ever break, that's when I'll go to someone like Evil Bob in my group and be like, hey, can I give you $50 to pin this for me, because I'm not doing it again. And he's just like, he's probably like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll get it on there. I'm like, cool. I'd rather give you money at this point, but I'll fight through the first time.
Yeah.
Okay.
That does it for hobby for me.
Nice. Well, which of these pictures should I bring up first for actually, tell you what, why don't you start by talking about the event?
Okay, so the event.
What's it called?
So again, they have tried to run. It's called Akron Brew Brawl, and it is set up more like a con, like a tiny ass con than it is
NashCon, but NashCon is obviously a little bigger.
Right.
That's what it feels like. That's what it felt like in the pictures.
Does NashCon have like 40K and everything too?
No, I think it's Sigmar and a bunch of historical games.
Okay, so what Brew Brawl is they do it at a brewery, much like Brewhammer that we go to for AOS. But Brewhammer is fully AOS, right?
Yeah.
Which nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. Brew Brawl, though, however, was something I've never experienced before. They do many different types of so this one was just RTTs all over the place, right?
Yeah, it was.
So they
was it 3 days?
different types. What's that? It was 2 days.
2 days. Okay.
2 days. It was a Saturday, Sunday. Some RTs on Saturdays, some RTs on Sundays. There was 3 different systems going on Sunday. So we had Old World, AOS, and I want to say there might have been like Marvel Crisis Protocol.
Did they get Conquest going? I know.
I think they're trying to get Conquest going. I'm not sure if it was
Drew, who's is he the one that runs it? Drew runs it.
So it's run through Jack Games here in Akron.
Okay.
And then Drew is the one who's officially running the tournament.
Okay.
He's the TO for the tournament, but it's kind of sponsored and kind of run through Jack Games.
Gotcha.
That's where all the prize support comes from and everything. And so they do great things. They were having a charity drive too for a buddy of theirs that had cancer, so you can buy tickets for that.
Nice.
Extra chances at fun stuff that way. So a lot like Brewhammer do a charity as well. But this was a little bit more personal.
Yeah.
for somebody that they knew. So really cool. The event, just the setting of it is off in the back. It's not like the main brewery or anything. It's an extra room, a lot of space, big old bar right next to it too.
Nice.
So, every once in a while there was a bartender that would leave the main brewery and come around, and then when that guy was there, you could get your beers and stuff like that. Otherwise, there are guys from Jack Games who get you sodas. There's coffee throughout the day. Your ticket bought you lunch, and the spread for lunch was like pizza, wings, salads. I mean, there was even healthy options, which for like
it
was like, what is this?
It's amazing.
That's crazy. We had a salad. I mean, is that a vegetable? That was kind of neat. So the event itself, I was just supremely impressed by. Good on Drew. You killed it. I'm sorry that I haven't been to one of these before, because my thing is just like, okay, well, playing Old World, there's not a whole lot of people in this. Well, I could also play just Old World with some of my buddies too, be from playing some random people maybe I wouldn't enjoy playing, because I always have that trepidation in the back of my mind about going to an event and playing somebody that I don't really enjoy the game. I also have that maybe I'll be that person for somebody else. I don't want to be that person for somebody else either. But that being said, the Old World event, which they've been trying to running and they've been canceling for the last couple times,
it's not enough
signups.
To
have 4 people to run, okay, and we got 4 people. So the joke was that everybody was finishing top 5. There was no way to not finish top 5, and it was a round robin. It was 3 games, so everybody just played each other.
Okay,
right?
So
I wound up playing 3 different opponents, which is
fun.
If there are 50 people in an RTT, that's what I was going to get, right? So
I do laugh because it was my wife's birthday weekend, so I couldn't go. Otherwise, I would have been there too.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny. I don't know why. I scolded them a little bit. But Alex was going to go if I went, or if Brad went. But Brad was only going to go if I went or Alex went. And I was just like, okay, well, you two obviously want to go. I told you I can't. Like, just go. So you could have had 6. I was like, oh, it's like so close. And then they did. But I think we've browbeat them to come out for the next one.
Perfect.
But it's still, it looked like a good scene. Looked like everyone was having a good time. I was enjoying the pictures back and forth that you were posting.
Yeah. So got to play a couple of the local Akron guys. The first one, if you could pull up the Bretonian picture.
Absolutely.
That was my first game. So this gentleman is new to the hobby. He told me, it's just like, listen, I don't paint. He goes, I sent this out we were talking about 3D printing and everything. It's like, I sent this out for commission painting and everything. And it looks great. And all that. And he's like, I'm not going to put his business out there, but he's a lot of money in.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Like
army with the commission painting, as you can imagine.
This is a great looking army, and it's yellow. I'm sure that was a pretty penny.
Yeah. So it was Bretonian Renegades is what he's playing.
Yeah, I see the bombard there. Nice little cannon. I love it.
So if you take a look at it, there's a lot of he ran his Pegasus Knights in a lance with his general at the front of it.
Oh, that's high quality right there. That's what you do. I love it.
Yeah, let me tell you, it worked.
It will still kill. It's just you lose all your skirmish stuff, which is honestly too much for them. But yeah, good.
Right. So, but he had a level 3, because I think that's the highest you can get in that army.
Yes.
Running around. He had 2 lances. I can't remember what type of knights they were. We'll get into why, because the game didn't last very long. And he had
peasant archers.
He had a cannon. He had a cannon in the army, as renegades are wont to do.
Mm-hmm.
He had the Green Knight as well. Now, for this particular event, because it was just 4 people, we did not. The TO did not spend any amount of time on like a pack or anything like that.
Right.
So it was just like, hey, you guys, there's 4 of you, just play some games, right? So we decided, that even though I did not know about the fact where the Green Knight, because I don't play Bretonians.
Yeah, it only comes out of the woods now,
essentially, or whatever. So we just kind of picked some different type of terrain, and
which that's a good way to do it too. I mean, that's fine if you're just like, especially if there's no woods on the board, then like that model can't come on and be like, how about these ones?
Yeah, and I told Drew, for the next event, if it's bigger and everything, and you want to do a pack, I'd say pre-label your terrain on the board so that players don't have to worry about that. Like, and if there is no forests, I mean, in your pack, you need to say like some tables will not have a forest
Yeah,
if they're not going to,
which is
and
fine.
if they're not going to, then list build accordingly. Because if you have the Green Knight and you can't use them, and you're playing 1,800 points or whatever it is instead of 2,000, that may shift what you want to bring.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Or maybe it does. I don't know. So, but you certainly don't want to just not have to put a unit out, right? So,
Right. Yeah. That would be
no,
like, oh, I physically can't play this. It's great.
that being said, I personally find the Green Knight to be one of the most egregious pain in the ass units to play against in the entire game. I've played Bretonians multiple times now, and that Green Knight ruins my life every single time I play against it.
Yeah, he's always a problem, and it sucks because the best thing I think in the normal list that you and I have ran, the best thing to kill the Green Knight is our sisters, and they can do the job very well. But I don't want them killing a 200-point model over and over again. I want them just whittling down the big block of knights.
Well,
or
the
something.
thing is they don't get the chance to, because it can come out an inch away from you, essentially, and it gets to charge the first turn. That's my big problem with it, is it charges the turn it comes in.
That's true. Yeah. So
if it didn't charge the turn it comes in, just like any ambushers, right? Ambushers can't do that.
Right.
And it's essentially ambushing you, right? Then it wouldn't be an issue. Like, you could maybe do something about it before it hits whatever it's trying to hit and just lock up, right? Because the thing about it, if you're playing it right, you're not really playing it to kill anything. You're playing it to take somebody's unit out of the game.
Right. I will say this, because of the Green Knight's existence for a while in the local meta, because my sisters always had my Handmaiden and my Noble BSB inside of it. And they both were given magical weapons specifically to kill it because they could. They were good weapon skill and everything like that. So, but it's like, that's probably 20, 30 points I'm having to throw in just in case I play the Green Knight tonight, which is like, I get that he's a thing, but yeah, I agree with you. The come in and charge immediately is the problem. Coming in anywhere, that's fine, but give me a chance to take him out first.
And in this case, I played it pretty wrong too. So something else, the nice thing about going to a GT as well, and for me this time too, is I learned a lot. I learned a lot of rules that I was playing wrong.
You even showed one to me that we were playing wrong over here. I was like, oh, dang.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this was actually from Cole and I both took this weapon. We both took Giant Blade, right? Now, I put Giant Blade on my dragon. The reason why I did it, and I also had a great weapon, is I'm thinking, well, for like any big stuff, like anything, like I need to get through armor-wise, I'm going to use the great weapon.
Right.
And then I'll use the Giant Blade for anything low armor, but, whatever. And that was the thought. And then he's just like, oh, if you have a magic weapon, you have to use it. I was like, oh, I thought you just selected at the top. And we looked it up, and no, in fact, you don't get to select. You have that magic weapon, you must use it. And I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be terrible, because my guy on the top of the dragon basically is, unless I roll a 6, he's got no armor bane on this weapon. Yeah. So he's pretty much taken out of the tournament at this point.
Hope your dragon stomps do okay.
That guy up there did not do a thing. So based on how I ran my list as well, I didn't really have anything, like, even if I could have taken that dragon into like a Green Knight, he more than likely, at least he couldn't have swung, but he was not going to kill the Green Knight at no AP, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely. I mean,
yeah, not gonna happen.
Yeah, and even if in this case, I guess the only way you can get around it, I think I was talking, I thought you had the Star Lance, because the Star Lance you can only use on the charge. That's the only time whenever you'd be able to not use the magic attack weapon. But you didn't have that because you're being nice.
Right. Well, not only that, like, the Green Knight's going to charge you, and you're not going to get to use that weapon.
Right,
ever.
But then you can at least use the great weapon against them. But then again, it's not magical, so never mind. Yeah, you're in trouble.
It's not magical, so it's not going to do anything. So
yeah, boy. Yeah, it's
that's where like, I know you love that lance, but I'm always just like, if you get charged, that thing's not going to do a damn thing for you. So I always worry about that.
You're right. That's good. I need to. Oh shoot, man! I'm gonna be tooling my list all day after we record here.
So that was a learning experience right there, and I'm glad I learned that game one, right? So I didn't play it wrong the entire event. We established that like turn one. It's like, okay, perfect. Okay, so we're just gonna play it. I'm not gonna modify the list at all. Like, I'm not one to be like, oh well, do you mind if I, whatever. I'm like, no, I built the list this way, so that's the way I'm gonna play it.
Yep.
So I got the first turn on this. Some pot shots. I also learned about it's a lot easier to get partial cover than than you'd think. And so, like, I shot at him. He's just like, no, that's partial cover. And or he's just like, I'm going to take heavy cover for that. And I'm like, how does that work, kind of thing? Like, I can clearly see this guy with all of my units right out here, but like half of the unit is covered up. So I was just like, okay. So like, I'm thinking more down the lines of AOS. Like, I got so many different rule sets, and like, I'm like, if I can see this guy, I can shoot him with everything. Well, half of the unit is technically covered up,
Right.
so I can see what his argument is there for partial cover. So okay,
yeah, no,
fair
that makes
enough.
sense. Yeah,
something else.
Yeah, I'm curious to see whenever you come over to play to teach more about that, because I don't think we're doing that fully right. Like, there's obviously a line of sight issues. Like, oh well, they can't see; they're just not gonna be able to shoot. That is what it is. But yeah, the cover thing,
Yeah.
we could utilize it better, I think, in our local scene.
Yeah. And I think it's it's kind of a discussion too. It's kind of like it's not quite subjective. Like, it is objective, right? But it's all, there's also some gray area in it. It's
Yeah.
like, is it half? Is it not half? Is it like, what are we dealing with here? Is it more than half? Is it heavy? Is it light cover? Whatever.
Right.
But anyway, so that blunted a lot of my shooting, because I was trying to put a lot of shooting into that Pegasus lance, which was, so I was aiming sisters at it. I was aiming
and they're toughness 4
there into there and everything.
Yeah.
I did pop one Pegasus knight, with all the shooting, even with the heavy cover, the long range, even with the sisters moving a little bit. Like, it was still like, even with all those minuses, God, sisters are good. Like,
yeah, they're so good.
It's just they're still getting stuff through.
Even the 5 I had in my list when the list I was playing with Tom last night, I was like, I'm gonna move him closer. He's just like, oh, you'll be minus, plus it's skirmish. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, don't forget, these are still sisters. There's only 5 of them, and also there's a bolt thrower in there.
Yeah, we're starting at a 2+, and we're moving backwards.
Yeah. Sorry, continue though with the game.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's that. I moved up my dragon a little bit. I flew up my griffin. My griffin I used on the flanks, pretty much in all my games. We'll talk more about that. The griffin is who gets locked up eventually, because the griffin did not have a magical weapon on him. I put a great weapon on him. And he had the Ring of Fury, but the Ring of Fury is shooting phase, and if you're locked up in combat, you cannot use the Ring of Fury. So that's out. Or not Ring of Fury. I'm sorry, Ruby Ring of Ruin.
Yeah, the fireball.
Fireball one. Yep. So, but from now on any Griffin that I'm playing, like if I have a noble on a Griffin, it's Ring of Fury.
Oh, so, yeah. It's like it's what do you want your character to do, and lean into that.
Yeah, I love the Ring of Fury.
Oh,
okay. It's going on.
Yes.
Every champion in every list, because remember, you get to cast that. It's just an assailment spell. You still get to cast, and that's the cast is in addition to your regular attack. So now I've got some. If the Green Knight does come in on a Griffin from now on, I can at least try to cast this and smack him with a -2, however many hits.
Yep. I will say this in my last game last night with Tom, his Chaos Lord. I got challenged my Silverhelm block. And he's like, challenge. And I also had a dragon there, and obviously my prince is in there with the banner. And my prince was gonna, or not my prince, my noble. And my noble had 1 wound left. It was gonna die. Yeah. Like it's like on a 2 up, 6 up, whatever. But I was like, I can't do that. And I was like sitting there thinking for this was like the longest thought process I had. I'm like, well, the champion is gonna die in this combat, but he has the Ruby Ring of Ruin. And with the enchanted aura, I'm like, I'm gonna strike an initiative, so I'll go before the mount, but after the Lord. Decent weapon skill, good toughness, and I was like, I'm gonna gamble, and I did it. Lord swung, got 1 thing through, managed to make it a save. Then I got my lance, the Ruby Ring of Ruin, and the horse.
Oh, you mean Ring of Fury?
Or Ring of Fury, sorry, yeah, Ring of Fury, sorry, the assailment spell. Yeah, even now I'm mixing it up now. Right. But I got it off. I did 3 wounds to him, which I calculated out beforehand with my combat res. If I did 3 wounds to him, and he killed my guy with max overkill, I would win combat because I had the musician.
Nice.
and so I did 3 wounds. I'm like, perfect, I'm gonna win this combat. And then he killed me by only like 2 wounds. So like I really crushed him. I was just like, woo, like toughness 4 for another turn.
Yeah.
I mean, it kept me alive for another turn. But I'm just like, I'm such a fan of the Ring of Fury.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Like, I mean, even like like you've got a unit of Illyrian Reavers, right? And You
I
just
didn't
put
even
in
think.
base,
Oh,
right? You put a champion in there, you put a Ring of Fury on it, and now you got a guy a unit coming up the flank. Which, yeah, it's not a lot of wounds. It's easy to take care of with shooting, if you want to. But if you can get that thing into something quickly, and it's on a flank, so you're probably outside of range unless they've deployed correctly, where they can get a pretty good dispel on you. Um, you got a chance to really do some damage, because that Ring of Fury is coming at initiative, right? And those guys are definitely going to get a charge at a 9-inch, plus Swift Stride. So
see, that's the thing. I wouldn't even charge. I don't charge for my reavers. I don't even give them spears. I just harass with bows and like maybe charging for a flank for a combat res. But I didn't
really,
even think about putting the fireball ring on that because maybe I could bring like 6 or 7.
well, it's not the Fireball Ring. This is Fury. This is
No,
Fury.
yeah,
This is
but
the
I'm thinking now. Like I get what you're doing with the spears. Makes
yeah,
sense. But I'm thinking,
yeah.
okay, what if I take the fireball ring and just
Mhm.
run around shooting, but like not take 5, maybe take 6 or 7.
Fireball Ring is 30 points. Can't put it on the.
Ah,
Can't put it on it.
darn.
So
Okay, you're right.
yeah, that's where you fall through there. But
Okay,
but having the Fury on
spears.
the champions is it's just awesome. So
That's
especially if you're playing that Slaves to Darkness army that wants a challenge at the beginning of the game, like we've talked about here.
that's true.
So getting back into the
Sorry.
game.
Yep.
What essentially happens in this game is, I'm forgetting things. I was really worried that I'd get into I'm like, oh god, like I've not played any games with high elves. It's all been theory craft with me. It's all been building this thing up. I've played a bunch of games with orcs and goblins, but I have not played high elves. So um, my unit of archers. He puts a bunch of actually Ruby Ring of Ruin and then a fireball spell into them, wipes them out. So I've got some panic tests I have to take on my big ass expensive unit of Northern Seaguard, right?
Yep.
I promptly fail that. I need a 10. I roll an 11.
Of course.
So I fail that, completely forget about Valor of the Ages.
Yep.
Right. I also forget now. I think if you're above 50%, is it just a fallback in good order? If your unit strength is above 50%?
Or is it maybe well, you're talking about shooting, right?
I'm talking about in shooting, because of panic from a unit being destroyed. I have to look
I'd
into
have
that
to
a
look it
little
up.
bit
Yeah,
more,
I've never had that.
because now I'm thinking back to other editions, and I'm like, okay, well they're panicking and they're running just like that. So I roll the flea. They run diagonally back towards my sisters, who are a little bit more towards the back edge.
Right.
They have to hop the sisters.
Oh no.
They're off the board. They're gone.
Ah.
So by like a corner, one of the guys, right? So they're gone. I just lost my archers. So I got 2 units down already. Next turn comes. That's when the Green Knight charges in, completely locks up my Griffin. My Griffin's out of the game.
Yeah.
And then there's a little bit more jockeying around. He moves his lance or whatever. And then next turn comes. I charge my dragon into his lance. I'm like, here we go. Let's go. Let's challenge this hero. Let's kill this hero with my dragon. I completely whiff.
Oh no.
I think I maybe do 1 wound. He strikes back. Like even the stomps didn't do anything. I think the stomp is what did the wound.
Yeah.
Okay. And he wins on combat runes. Okay. Again, all I need is 10. Roll an 11. My dragon flees combat. He charges the dragon, or he follows up, catches the dragon. Dragon's gone.
Oh, that's a bad start. That's a bad start.
So now I've lost the Seaguard. I've lost a pitiful unit of archers. I've lost my dragon. My Griffin's out of the game. I essentially have a unit of
sisters.
I have a Warlion chariot, and I have the sisters and the mage left. And that's when I just reached across the table. We shook hands, and I gave him max points. And I think I lost that game 2,100 to 37.
Gotcha. Yeah, no,
Not good.
That's not a good start. Like, and I get it too. Like, if this was a bigger event, maybe you would have played on to be like, all right, my sisters can get some points and minimize this a little bit. I still lost.
Yeah,
but also,
I mean, I was like at this point. He goes. Are you sure you want to, whatever? And I'm like, here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna keep bringing these Pegasus Knights around the side, so you're gonna take care of this chariot here in this next turn. I might get a couple guys, kill a couple knights with it, because I got in with a flank charge. I got through his peasant bowman, and then I followed up, or I went through them straight into like the flank of a unit of knights, I'd have probably done some impact hits, killed some of those knights, but not the full lance, right?
Yeah.
So then,
Yeah, you would be
we had,
ignoring the lance, trying to kill off the small stuff. It's just
yeah,
like,
and he had a hero that, like, when I went in for that flank charge, I contacted that hero, so the hero was going to take care of that chariot for sure. Again, Griffin's out of the game, and so once his 2 blocks of knights get into my sisters, whether they're ethereal or not, it's not going to matter, because that hero's coming around the side, and he's gonna get max points off me. There's no way he's not.
He was gonna max. It was just like, like I said, in a bigger event, you would have maybe played on just to get as many points as you could. But like, yeah, no, I think you made the right call and just had fun.
Yeah, so I was just like, man, you got it. He's like, okay, and this was his first event as well. But he had a really good grasp of the rules and everything. He was
awesome.
teaching me some things. Great guy to play against. I enjoyed the game. I learned, like, after I was kind of thinking about it, it's like, oh shit, Valor of the Ages. Oh shit, this. Oh shit, that. Like,
that's how you learn
there's some
it.
things I need to clean up about this, right? So anyway,
I think I told you back when I was starting with my high elves, it took me like 9 games before I started remembering all that stuff. And it finally started clicking to be like, oh, this is how I need to play it to win now, because I was too reliant on my old skill set, which is doesn't transfer over to the new game. But yeah, it sounds like you got a quicker speed. Like, all your theory crafting has worked.
Yeah, it really wasn't that bad. When you try to think about the whole game and you think about the whole rules, it can be very intimidating to be like I remember being in PT school, like the very first time you go to a clinical placement, you're like, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
You walk through the door, you're like, I'm dumb. I don't know anything, right? And then it just, you do your thing and you figure it out, right? The same thing here. It's just like, if you try to think of it like whole hog, right? It's you can't keep it all in there, but like as you're playing through the games and it's just this and it's just that, everything kind of comes to you. At least,
yeah, you got to remeasure what your success is, and then, like, for you, it's like not winning an event. That's not success. Yours is learning different things. Like, oh, I forgot about this. I need to make sure I do this, or I use this correctly. That's your success for like a first tournament.
Yeah.
And I got a picture of your army up here with the deployment across from that Bretonnian force. I think it's deployment. Is this deployment?
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, looks good. I love that your dice match the blue color that you're putting on it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, got to.
They don't work unless you do that.
Listen, I'm with you. I'm blue and purple, and I have blue dice and purple dice. I'm a little mixed. And I see Eltharion over there. Oh yeah, I know he's not Eltharion, but
Eltharion made it out. Because I had a great weapon, so I had to have one of the Griffins with a guy with a sword. So that's why he came out to play. Plus, it was kind of neat just to have him on the board. You know? So.
And the classic Emmerich. So yeah, I forgot to show that picture first, but okay, perfect. Which game was next for you?
So next, I played another new person here. This guy's name is David, and David lives actually the town next to me, Solon, which is just north. It's like 5 minutes. So we played this game through whatever, and we're like, okay, man, if you don't ever want to drive a half an hour, you just give me a text message, and we will, I'll go your way or you come by, and doesn't matter. And we'll get some games in here. So because he was a very enjoyable guy to play against. Great. He's been playing dwarves now for a little while. Trying to make these guys work. I think he needs to maybe get out there on the internet and just see some of the trickery that he could probably get away with. But because he's got the makings of a really good army.
And it's
here.
A lot of classic models. I have his army picture up that you sent me. Many classic models.
So classic. And he did a great job on the paint job. I don't know if I got close enough pictures for people to kind of tease that out. But the paint job was amazing. I was thinking about trying to push real hard to get like all my Seaguard done and all this kind of stuff for the event. And I decided against it. And then when I saw some of the armies that had been up against anyway, I was just like, well, I'm glad I didn't do this.
No painting for me.
We're not making, winning best paint of the year by a long shot. So,
sure.
So the way this one starts out, again, just based on my deployment, I'm winning first turn. I'm taking first turn, So I deployed out. And what I did the entire time is I was kind of deploying my dragon, my griffin out on the flanks. A 18-inch move or a 20-inch move with a march is a lot, especially when you get a free 90-degree turn.
Yep.
After that with a single unit. That was very, very beneficial for me. So also the sisters, once they're ethereal and they have the reserve move with sisters. Oh,
it's so good.
I would move these guys up to entice him to come forward. So he had a very combat heavy army. He had his general had the D6 damage
Okay.
weapon on it. So there was not a chance my dragon was going that direction.
No, yeah, you're like, nope, no, thank you.
So he had a couple units of the Iron Drakes. Is that what they are?
Yep.
With the Trollhammer torpedoes. That worried me quite a bit. As far as my dragon went, as far as my Griffin went.
Mm-hmm.
He did have a cannon. He had some runes on the cannon, which I thought turns the shots magical.
Does not anymore.
It does not? Are you serious?
I don't think it does.
I was telling him, it's like, I think you can shoot those sisters because I thought that turned it magical.
I don't know the dwarves well enough. I don't think it turns it magical anymore, just like the flaming banner doesn't make your attacks magical. I think there's a rune to make magic shots.
Oh, really?
Maybe.
Okay.
Internet, please don't quote us on this. If you do know, put it down below because I'm going to look it up. Actually, you know what? You're talking. I'll just bring out my book. You keep talking.
Yeah, go ahead. Because I'm trying to help him out. I'm like, man, I really wish you could shoot the sisters unit or do something more with this cannon, because actually he measures the cannon. And I've never actually seen this happen. I didn't even mean to do this. So this is just, kind of idiot savant level here. My dragon was far enough away that like he was out of range of the cannon. Which is, the cannon range is so far that like you don't even think of ever being out of range of it. So I was just like, yeah, I'll definitely be in range. I'm going to take at least one cannonball, right? And then when I flew the Griffin up, I got behind a piece of scenery. So even with a large target, you couldn't see through it. So you couldn't take a pot shot at my dragon. Also, my chariot was kind of out of the way, so he couldn't shoot at the chariot. So he wound up killing, I think, a couple of Seaguard with it, but that was pretty much it. So I moved up.
What? Sorry, looking at the engineering runes. Sorry, keep talking.
Yeah, so I moved up a little bit to try and entice him forward, and he kind of took the bait, right? So he started moving his dwarves as fast as their legs could take him. What I was doing with my level 4 was I was casting Tempest and putting that down. That's a 5-inch template. Mm-hmm. Anything within 6 inches of the template is -1 to their move characteristic. Anything that goes it's like difficult terrain, right? So, and then anything that goes through the Tempest takes a dangerous terrain test.
Right.
So if you got 3-inch move dwarves and you have a Tempest out with a 6-inch bubble around it, making them -1, it then makes it a lot harder to get across the battlefield. So I kind of kept putting that out kind of in front of him.
Yeah, and, you're bullying this player. With your rule set. Real quick, you do gain magic attacks when you put a rune on it. So you're
there
right.
You go.
Yeah, so he could have been, granted, I don't know if using a cannon to shoot sisters is the best option still.
Well, it was something more than shooting the Seaguard, right? It's going to start and if you can't shoot you'd rather minimize the shots coming from the sisters than from anywhere else. That'd be my thinking with it. If I don't have any other good targets. So anyway, so then so he moves up. Not too much happens there. I'm shooting the hell out of his Iron Drakes to try and get those things off the board. Takes I think a couple turns, but I do get rid of all the Iron Drakes. I do get rid of pretty much all of his shooting. Yep. His cannon, my second turn, I fly the Griffin around the edge, and now I'm just set up for like right into his flanks. The next turn, I'm going into his cannon. He's got nothing he can do about it.
You're going to wipe that cannon,
and so then he turns his unit. I think his Longbeards had the unit where the rune of hesitation. So if I go in, I lose all the charge, anything that I gain based off of the charge, right? But they were, so I flew in, kill the cannon. They go and I restrain. They try to charge me. I flee 10 inches. So now I got this other unit is chasing me.
Yep.
And I quickly rally the next turn. So I've basically taken most of his units out. Now these units are so thick that I'm not getting any points off of them.
Yeah.
Right. So basically where I score all my points is by taking out everything that he has, accessory to these 2 big units. And so I wind up winning this game 600. He does get his big block into my Seaguard. He kills them down to 2 models, which run,
Yep.
flee. He does not catch them,
Okay.
and they miss the board edge by an inch.
Ah.
So at the end of the game, we roll on the end of turn 5. We roll the 5, so the game immediately ends. So he can't get the full points. If he got the full points, he's going to be sitting around 400 some points, and I was going to be sitting at like 600
Yeah.
just from him getting in and killing that unit. So I still would have won the game. However, it'd have been a lot closer.
Yeah,
Than he,
yeah.
he fit like the whole game. He was just chasing me around the board.
Yeah.
Where he should probably just kind of waited for me to come to him. But with the way his list worked, there was enough things that I could get ancillary points off of. Where if he didn't kill something of mine, he's going to be in trouble.
Right.
So it's probably going to lose the game. So great game, won it by 300 points. So now we're on the board.
Yep.
And then
Got your win.
game 3.
Yeah. Well, real quick before we do that, I did forget to show. I forgot that you had the deployment against the Bretonian player. But it's just the board looks good. I just wanted to show that. That looks real good.
Mm-hmm.
Also, his dice tray matches his army. Oh, peak.
Yeah.
These are metaculture here, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, that said, yes. Who was your final round opponent?
My final round opponent was someone known to me. His name is Cole of the Sea of Big M fame.
Shooter McGinnigal
Shooter
with this picture.
Yeah, with this shooty list, right?
Yep.
And I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh god damn it. This is gonna be bad.
Yep.
So the way this game worked out, again, I kind of deployed flanks. He's got 2 cannons, 2 hell blasters, and I'm like, oh god damn, I'm gonna end up losing a lot of stuff here too. Did the same trick, basically. Got the griffin around the side. I kind of held back the dragon for a second, and so in my second turn, I was just like, what should I do with this dragon? Because I was worried he's going to just take hell blasters to the face, cannons to the face, all this kind of stuff. And luckily, this poor Colt, he's rolling misfires on his hell blasters.
No.
Making him -1, additional -1 to hit and everything. And plus he's rolling like 2s and 4s for like the amount of shots he's getting. It just, his shooting did not go bonkers for him. So he was not able to put a single wound, maybe 3 wounds. I think with one cannon shot did get through. And I think he put 3 wounds onto him. I thought Empire Great Cannons were D6 wounds.
I thought they were better too.
They're he's like, no, D3 +1.
Oh.
I'm like, really? He even looked, he's like, no, man, they're D3 +1. I was like, I thought they were D6, but you need to look that up. But he's like, he's like D3 +1. I was like, okay.
I thought they were better than dwarf cannons. I mean, I guess they are. Barely. But,
yeah.
Oh well.
But anyway, so his shooting didn't do enough. I got the dragon into his cannon. Eventually, I got my dragon. Well, before that even happens, I wind up taking a bunch of shots with my sisters into one of his units of knights.
Okay.
He's got a unit of what do you want to call them? The demi-griffs.
Yeah.
They're coming up. His general's in that unit too. Super hard unit to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I started using that Tempest spell, plopping that right down in front of him. He was trying to use his movement spell to move him way up and everything. He didn't get that off. I dispelled that. Which, by the way, with high elves, if you're playing somebody with illusion magic, being able to say, or any type of magic that has like a big movement spell, being able to say no to that is game changing.
Oh yeah, because you're taking that spell and planning for its use, and if you can just be like, nope, change, yeah, it just like, it throws you completely off your game.
Yeah, and so so there's a lot of like dwarf shenanigans with using that the anvil. And some, I don't know, like whatever illusion spell kind of bring that block forward real quick, like up into your face. So look out for that if you're a high elf player there, and you can just auto cancel spells. That's nice. Whether it's a lot of points to do so, but I'll let you make the choice. But anyway, so I shoot that unit, and again, he's right next to his general. He just needs a 9, fails it, they run away.
Yep.
Okay. And again, I think we're playing we need to look into whether, like, if you're above 50% unit strength, whether you do a full flee or whether it's just a fallback in good order. Because what happens here is he flees, and then at the start of his next turn, he goes to try and rally them. Again, needs a 9. And he fails it, and his entire unit of knights runs off the field.
Oh,
So it's just off of taking 2 casualties. So if that maybe that should not have happened, and I wonder about that for the future as
I'm
well.
looking up right now. Keep going.
Yeah, panic test there. Yeah. So after that happens, and essentially what I'm doing. We had this ridiculous battle where he had a couple units of 5 bowmen, and I have my unit of 10 bowmen, and we're just killing like one guy a turn.
If
It was so stupid. I mean, I was just like, this.
I found it already.
Yeah.
If more than half, 50% of the models that the unit contained at the start of the battle still remain, falls back in good order.
Yeah. So we're playing it more like 8th edition, where you're just gone.
What's more than half? If it's half or fewer, then it's flee.
You're right. So he should have kept that unit of knights.
Well, that's a
and I
nuanced
should have
thing.
kept that unit of Sea Guard as well. So that's live and learn.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Too many damn editions of this game in our heads.
Well, it's funny because like I have never. Anytime I've been shot where I need to do that test, I've never failed it. So like I've never even had to ask myself that question. That when you're mentioning it, I'm like, I have no idea because I've never had to experience it because I'm like, okay, no, boom, I'm good.
Yeah,
great.
But you know me, right? I'm gonna do whatever the worst case scenario is gonna happen, right? So if he keeps that unit of knights and he gets to charge into my Sea Guard, maybe different game, right? Because instead, what happens? Those guys go away, and I just wind up just keep on peppering shots into his demigriffs.
Yep.
I take one down. He actually he charges through the. Actually, he has to move through the Tempest. He takes a couple wounds on the dangerous terrain.
Mm-hmm.
And then he charges through the Tempest, kills another guy, charges through the Tempest, but he felt like he had to at that point. He goes in the Sea Guard, wind up doing some challenges and things like that. Again, Ring of Fury coming in big. So this is where the question came up. He's like, he's like, that's your attack though with the Ring of Fury. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure you can do both.
I thought it was
we played it,
opposite,
and then we looked it up afterwards, and that was the right way to play it. So you can get your attacks and the Ring of Fury. So
yeah, I thought it was one or the other. So I remember whenever you sent me that, I'm like, I was so excited, and I went to the barn that night. I'm like, everybody, we've been screwing this up, and everyone's just like, cool.
Yeah.
No one was unhappy.
Spells are better than you'd think. If you have to be in combat with a wizard, then I don't know, like that. What's the one that allows you to take the Hoth, Sword of Hoth on a wizard or whatever?
The lore master.
Yeah, it ain't bad.
Trust me, in my Tracian, put in that Great Blade on it. No one expects it. He's still got decent weapon skill, and he's just like boom, he just crushed a dude.
Yeah. Right. With all the initiative we get, like against low initiative armies, even if they charge sometimes you're hitting at the same time.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he's fighting into this unit of Sea Guard. They're holding their own. He's killing them, but he's not killing them fast enough, right? And then they fell back in good order, or they may have fled, and he's not able to catch them. Right. Something happened. Anyway, something happened where they got away, right? Then when they got away, and so now his unit's just sitting there, and I just keep the sisters are just like, bang, 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 just hitting them right, left and right, just taking wounds off.
I just picture Jack Sparrow. Stop shooting holes in my ship.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my Griffin's coming around, cleans up the Hellblaster on the other side, the cannon on the other side. He winds up getting a flank charge with a full unit of knights and just rubber lances the Griffin. And, and so the Griffin's able to fall back in good order, turn around. And at that point, my dragons come around the other side. And so now I got a dragon and the Griffin into his knights. And the game ends, and you can show the picture here. And I'm sorry, Cole, but I'm going to do this to you. Because this may never happen again. So I'm gonna take this and I'm going to brag a little bit. I'm going to be a little of a dick.
Yep, there you go. Look at that.
And there it is. 2,000 to nothing is what it came out. 2,000 victory points to 0 because we also rolled the 5 at the end of turn 5. And so he was but he had very little left on the board at that point. I think he had his wizard. He did kept trying to cast the what's the flaming tornado or whatever. What's the name of that spell?
Oh, Pillar of Fire.
Pillar of Fire. There you go. He's casting that. He's hitting my griffin with it. He's hitting my my dragon with it, but the toughness is so high, he's not doing a damn thing to it. So it's the wrong place for that to go. Like he was just slowly moving it towards my sisters, but just not getting it there. So
that's good. That's good.
He promptly made changes that night to that list, and
as we do.
Well,
That's I can't get over how much I love list building and how much it's so frustrating that Sigmar does. Like Sigmar's list building so shit.
Yeah.
Like right now. Because he lost, like I said, I just lost my game last night. I'm like, how can I fix this? How can I make it better? What can I do differently? It's like, and I love that that's the mentality of most old world people. Like, unless you've really screwed up on the table, you're just like, you know what? I misplayed everything. Maybe you won't change your list.
Yeah.
But like, I got my butt handed to me.
Yeah.
I am going to go change this list. I'm going to have fun doing it. I love that so much. And then you're talking to people. He's probably talking to you about it. You're like, oh, what about this? What about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like that's and the thing is too is like you're talking about, oh well, I'm going to make my list, I'm going to change, I'm going to make some changes here, but what you hope to, and you do hope for this, is that they're in your local meta or whatever, that there's something like, okay, well, against that Chaos Warriors army list, now I'm good, okay, but now I'm not good against something else,
right? Yeah,
right, and then that keeps the list building going, right?
Yep.
It's like you keep fine tuning, like now you play this next game and Bretonnian just rolls you, right? You know, like, and so you're like, okay, well, you know, back to the drawing board. Like I love that. Like you want to lose games like that so that, you know, you get to still kind of brainstorm this kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's fun because like I remember doing it back in 8th, and I had a cavalry list at the end of 8th that only 2 people in my local meta had a chance of beating, and they also had, like, it was really like the meta was the 3 of us. Like we would always play nonstop anyway,
right.
So we go to events and it was always, all right, which one of us is going to be first, second, third? Like it was kind of like it got a little mean, not outright so, but like we were not bringing soft lists.
Right.
But yeah, but like even within that structure of the 3 of us, we'd still tweak slightly here and there. Like, oh, he found this magic item. It's like, oh, well, how do I protect against that? Because I know I'm going to want to go into that where that's going to be. And it's just like, it was fun. Yeah, so even like at the like super high level, you can still do those tweaks and it'd be exciting whenever you're pulling out the BS.
Yep. So that's the end of our round robin tournament.
Yep.
And after that devastating defeat I took in round 1, I was able to get a devastating defeat of myself on somebody else. So that kind of pulled me. If you want to put that last picture up there.
Yep.
I believe his name is Terry. Terry who played the Bretonnian Renegades list. Pretty much rolled all comers with that list, and. It looked like I was looking at Cole's game against him in round 2, and I was just like, I wonder how that's going. But yeah, he wound up getting Cole as well. Wound up getting the dwarves. I thought the dwarves might do a little bit better against it because it had so much combat that he would have to go into those things.
Yeah, I thought I could see that being potentially nightmarish. Like I have to fight, and I don't want to fight dwarves.
Right. So, but he wound up getting that victory as well. So good on him for that. And it's just the maneuverability of that army is, you know, really tough play as well. So, and I think you could probably take that Green Knight and just chuck him into the unit of Longbeards with the Rune of Hesitation, and unless he's got some other stuff in there.
Yeah,
that Green Knight's not going anywhere. Yeah. He might be able to get him on combat res though, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe not that easy, but so. Overall,
here's the picture of the whole crew, by the way, of all the players.
Yeah, and we had a great time. These are all people that I would play again. Cole, I know the next time I play Cole, vengeance will be coming. I have no illusions of winning that next game against him. Cole is a very good player.
Yes.
So for you people out there, don't sleep on Mr. McGonagall, Cole the Sea. He will be back, and he will be prepared. But yeah, I went into this with a lot of trepidation and worry that I'm going to feel like, you know, like this is going to be real crunchy. I've heard all these nightmares about playing
Well, to be fair,
Warhammer Fantasy
I've heard those from the old edition,
from the old
right? But
editions.
they're in our heads; they're still there.
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I'm like, I wonder if this is going to be the same thing. It's a competitive tournament. I'm not the most competitive guy out there. I enjoy the theme of the game more than I thought. I enjoyed, the crunchiness of the game. But I will tell you that all of those fears were pretty much assuaged. I mean, I felt I had a blast doing this. A blast to the point where I immediately came home and I probably should have been list writing and enjoying my family, but like I couldn't get my mind off of it. Right. So
Right.
like,
Yeah.
when this ADHD hyper focus, right? I'm like, okay, so next time we're gonna do this, this, and this, and this, and this, just like you were doing as well. So I'm scheduled to work for their next event. I promptly got switched out with somebody else. So I'm in for the GT May 31st, June 1st.
Yep.
Which I know you're coming down for as
I'll
well.
be up there. Alex is coming. We're trying to get a few more folks, which is funny because now it's on a weekend when we can all do it and like we're all going. So it's like what we haven't yet doubled, but we're going to double the event size. Look at the growth.
So they have enough space for 12 players.
It is a hard cap. Right? It is a hard cap because
and what I would like to do is I'm putting the pressure on everybody I know to come down to try and get it at least at the cap and hopefully more, because I want to see them say, hey, this is a thing now and we're going to keep doing this. And I know the two guys that I played, I think it might have been their first event.
Nice.
As well, and like formal event. And so I know they're back. I know they're going to want to be playing as well. So like, I just want to keep growing the scene for this in the area. And yeah, I don't fear the competitive play like I once did. It's just part of it. It's just part of it. I know like this next GT, the lists are going to be a little bit meaner.
Yeah.
I know I'm probably going to see some of the more meta stuff out there. And if I get blown off the board, well, hell, that happened game one anyway. So, I know how that feels and it's fine. Okay. So, but I also know that I'm going to kind of push my lists a little bit to try and, make these things have some teeth as well. So
absolutely.
I don't mind playing that dragon, and hopefully, you all have a way to deal with it. And it's not the most frustrating, thing out there. But I might do some different things. I might play with lists and take some, more themed lists at some point. But for this next one, I want to see what I can do. I was pretty happy with the 2-1. I finished top 3.
There
First
you go.
ever top 3 finish. This is the joke that we're all making. David unfortunately did take the 0-3 and fell out of the top 3 there. So
hey, but he brought dwarfs. That's a win.
Still a top 5 finish. You can't. There's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, it looked like so much fun. Like I said, I was having a great time with my wife and birthday weekend, but yeah, there's part of me is like, man, I wish I was playing Warhammer right now.
Yeah,
always.
And the neat thing about it too is I'm finishing up my games, and my buddy Carl's there. He's playing AOS, right? And so I'm going over. I'm talking to the AOS guys. There's a couple guys. Guy who runs Fabricators Forge. He's been to some of your.
That's Ben Kloss.
Ben Kloss.
Yeah, he runs him and Seth run the events there, so he was out there for it.
Yeah, so he was there.
Okay.
And a bunch of the Pittsburgh guys. So
nice.
I saw some familiar faces there playing AOS and everything, right? So, yeah, it was a good scene, and it's just kind of fun to talk. Talking some shit with my friend Carl about AOS, and he's talking some shit back. And don't get me wrong, I do enjoy AOS, but it's just kind of fun to razz these guys. So.
I do too. It's I'm trying not to get there, but next month, Fabricators is having their first AOS GT. Well, the first one I'm getting to this year, but called Warpstone Wars. And I'm sitting there going, I have yet to really I don't know if I know how to play Sigmar fully. Because I'm already looking at list building for the one in May for Old World. I'm sitting there and it's I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go 0-5. I'm bringing daughters. I'm bringing the daughters I want. I'm probably gonna go 0-5. My goal for my Sigmar event is to learn to love playing my daughter's army no matter what. Because I know I'm probably going 0-5.
I've heard there are some lists that have some teeth for Daughters of Cain out there, but it just depends on whether you want to do it or not.
There is, and there's one I'm looking at that it's very similar to my style. like lots of witch elves and all that stuff. So I'm like, okay, maybe I've been look. I did save that, and that was popped up in Daughter's Cane WhatsApp chat. I'm like, I'll screenshot this, look at it later. But I'm just like, I don't know if I have the mental capacity though to play it the way it needs to be played, because I'm so used to the old run forward and roll sixes and
Yeah.
anyway. That looked like a great old world event though. I'm glad you had a good time. I'm glad the fear is not there anymore.
Yeah. So, and then Drew, once again, if you're listening, and you're probably not, but if you are, great event. Great. I like super proud of the guy on how he runs all this kind of stuff. Like literally, like one event would end, and he'd have to do like, the close up for everything, like the prize support, the pictures. Then he'd go to the next event.
Yeah.
Like AOS would finish, and he'd do that with that group of guys. Like to run one system is pretty impressive. To run like multiple.
Oh yeah.
It's very impressive, right? So he's I'm super proud of the guy. He has definitely taken the reins for the area as far as event planning goes, and so that means that I just get to have fun and play in these. Although there may be a narrative old world event coming at some point. So
ooh. I will not hold my breath, but I will hold my breath, Neil. I want it so bad. And I will help you run it. Because I know in your events we can run it and play it.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I saw John was there, a friend of mine, and I'm like, he was basically just a ringer for AOS, and so I'm like, we got to get him signed up for this one, and
we do
keep him from being a ringer.
We'll get it. We'll do our best to fill it up. But yeah, Akron Brew Brawl. Everybody go check it out. You can buy tickets online. It's pretty easy to find. It's on BCP as well.
It is. Yep.
Cool. Well, any other closing thoughts? Because I hate to say this, Neil, even as you were talking about bringing a tooled up list next time, I'm going, well, I wonder, maybe I should drop my second dragon and put a griffin, because I can make it punchy. That way gives me more points. I'm list building a theory list on the theory list you may be building. And that's what I love about this game right now.
Yeah, I'm keeping the dragon and griffin combo.
Yeah,
I enjoyed.
I know. I kind of
changing
like
it a little bit. So, like I said, Ring of Fury is going on that guy, because I did have the Ruby Ring of Ruin on him, but like what I found was I was constantly marching with him to get like position better. And if you're marching, obviously you can't do use the Ruby Ring of Ruin, right? So I'm like, then that was just 30 points. That was just kind of useless, because during the next turn I would charge. Can't use it if you're charging, right? So I'm like, well, let's put the Ring of Fury on him, and then we'll go in there, and we've got some potential more damage output than, and he's on the flanks anyway, so the chances of getting it off at the 2+ is greater.
Yeah.
So I really like that there. So I'll send you my list, and you can pick it apart, and we can have some fun with that. Yeah.
Sounds good to me. But okay, perfect. Neil goes to event, everybody. Insert always sunny music.
Hate it.
Yeah, doesn't hate it. Yeah.
Loves it, actually.
And jazzed up for the next one.
One closing thought, too. I was worried that I wouldn't get my games in on time. Every one of my games were in underneath the time limit.
What was the time limit? 3 hours?
The time limit was 3 hours. I didn't come close to that, and they were all well played games, and they all went 5 rounds. So, at least, well, not at least. I guess the first one was over in 2, but. There was reasons for that.
So. Yeah, well, that's good to know, because I've never had to really push. I haven't been to a tournament yet for this game, so I've never actually played to try be within that time limit. Maybe I should do that just for practice. I mean, I'm glad it's possible.
It was easy, actually. It was pretty easy. So
what's true? I mean, like the first turn, kind of positioning, so that goes quick. So
yeah. But, I mean, I felt like we were playing full games, and I was beating the AOS guys by an hour.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that was pretty impressive.
That's pretty impressive, yeah. Perfect. Okay. Let's wrap it up then. Neil, congrats on your top 3 finish. Congrats on your top 2 finish. Congrats on crushing Cole, Shooter McGinnigal. I look forward to his return with a vengeance.
Yes.
All right, everybody out there. Let us know if you know of any other events out there. Like, share it in the comments below for folks, so that we can all find them and all go to them. And I guess we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, talking about some made up armies that we're doing.
Awesome.